All right, guys. Hello, hello, hello. I think you can hear me. Yes, you can hear me. Okay. I am so excited for today. I hope you're excited. As you know, we try to go live every Tuesday just to give something of value to you. For those of you who are new to this group or new to any of the channels that we're streaming on, my name is Daniela. I'm a story creation coach, and I work in helping people to launch books and to launch profitable businesses and movements out of those books. Our story is important. And part of my background is originally I was a teacher. And so I have a whole background when it comes to writing and books and authorship, but we also do work around story marketing and all the things. So today we are going to talk about why you cannot afford to wait to write your book. So the bottom line is just the truth of the matter is a lot of people maybe feel this draw, right? They feel, I would even say, a calling to write a book, but for various reasons they either don't get started, they don't step out in the process, or maybe they're just even afraid of investing in themselves and investing in their dream. And so um, I want to talk to you about why you can't afford to wait. So if that is you and this resonates with you already, you're somebody who's like, man, I already know that this is gonna hit me. This is something that I am definitely guilty of. Maybe something you're like, hey, I have been putting off writing my book for a really long time. We're gonna talk about why you can't afford to do that, and we're gonna get into it. So let's go. So why you can't afford to wait to write a book. Number one, we have to ask ourselves, why are we telling ourselves that we're going to wait? Why do we keep putting it off? Why do we keep pushing it off for later? And this is called procrastination. Now, a lot of people procrastinate something. They put it off for later. It's a mindset thing, right? Because a lot of people who are procrastinators are serial procrastinators. And this means that, you said it more than once, right? Like, I'll do it in the future. I'll do it in the future. And the bar just keeps moving, right? Not the bar, I guess you say the goalpost keeps moving, because essentially you keep saying, hey, this is my goal. I'm going to start when the new year starts. Well, the new year's come and gone. And now you're going to say, well, I'm going to start, when the spring starts and I'm happier. Okay. And then the spring comes and then you're going to say, well, I'm going to start in the summer, when I have more time. There's always an excuse. And a lot of times we put things off because we're afraid, right? There's a fear that we carry. Maybe we're afraid that, hey, if we step out into this, it's something that's unknown. It's not something I really know much about. I don't know what could possibly happen as a result. Could it be something positive? Could it not? I really don't have a lot of information. Maybe you're unsure about how it'll turn out, or maybe you feel like, hey, people are going to judge me when they read my story. They're going to just, they're just going to judge me, and I don't want to be judged. I don't want to put myself out there like that. It can be really scary, right? Maybe you doubt that. A lot of the times people are afraid that, hey, nobody's going to read my story. And so a lot of times, God asks us to do things in faith, right? We have to step out in faith. And oftentimes that takes action before we ever see the intended result. God knows where it's going to bring you. God knows the results, but it takes action steps of faith to step out and to do it. And we're never going to know what that looks like unless we are brave and we step out and actually try. So I tell people, you don't want to live your life with these things of what if, like, what would happen if I had written it? What would happen if? It's always the question of, well, what if? And so I always, I encourage people, if you're questioning that and you're like, hey, I want to know how to get started, but I'm not 100% sure, or I'm dealing with some of those doubts or some of those questions. One of the things I do go over in my book, Tell Your Story, Turn Your Pain into Purpose, which if you scan that QR code below, you can grab a copy. It's available on Amazon. But I talk about this in the book, and I talk about how, there's different myths that we believe about writing, that we believe about telling our story. And so the book really addresses some of those myths. And so, we have to know that we're called to do this. We're stepping out in faith, and we're just getting our story out there. It's our testimony, that brings us in front of the people God has intended for us. So that's something important I want you all to think about today. Number two, books are really great lead magnets. Okay, any marketer will tell you this. This is why you've seen probably the bigger people, the bigger fish out there. They all have a book, right? And so that book can be used as leverage to leverage a movement, to leverage a business. You know, whether you feel called to do book tours specifically, most people who go on book tours usually have a business of some kind. They have a product, they have a service, they have something additional that they're able to sell, because what this is doing for you is it's going to create income back into your life. So depending where you are and whatever season you're in at this moment, books really help to become a lead magnet. They build your audience, right? And they really do help you to have, let's say, an entry point, right? An entry point into conversations with people that may not have been there previously, an entry point into getting in front of an audience that may not have been there previously. So these are all the things, you know, that we go over. But books are really great lead magnets. And so, you know, without that lead magnet, without something that's going to open the door for others, you're not going to be able to get in front of those audiences, and you're missing out on opportunities. You're missing out on chances to gain money, right? Like to earn something. You know, we're talking, one of the things we do here, we talk about creating wealth, right? So, you know, your story has the ability to create wealth for you as well. And so knowing that, number three is that time is borrowed, right? Time is not promised, it's borrowed. We're on borrowed time. God gives it to us, and we're to steward our time. So the more that we delay, the more that we put something off for the future, the more that we are showing that we are unable to steward or to handle the time that we are given that has been borrowed and that is not actually promised. We don't know that we're going to wake up tomorrow. We don't know what our life is going to be. And so, you know, God puts us on a path, and we have to have that obedience to follow out that path and what He has called us to do in the time He's called us to do it. And so, the only thing we end up doing by delaying our process is delaying our breakthrough. You know, a lot of times people pray and they're like, God, why are you not coming through? Why is all this happening? And a lot of times God's like, hey, I've given you opportunities to create wealth. I've given you opportunities. I've put ideas, things inside of you. But it says He gives us the ability to. Guys, give me one quick second. I have baby over here who's cranky. One sec. Sorry about that. So God gives us the ability to get wealth, right? We know this. And this is something, I'll put also the QR code down here if you're interested in this book. We just launched this book in January called Creating Wealth for the Kingdom. And it does talk about that. It talks about how you can use a book, how a book is a really good opportunity in launching a business to be able to create wealth, because it's a form of passive income. When you've marketed your book correctly, you can get income coming in passively. And it's also endless opportunities, right? If you build a business or a movement on the back end of that. So grab a copy of this book as well, because we always say when that harvest comes in, when it's time to reap what we've sown, you know, you're going to want to be prepared for it, right? You want your heart to be in the right place. So this book really does a great job of that. And all the proceeds for this book actually go to support victims of sex trafficking. So it's a great cause. And we actually, by the way, have this book coming out in Spanish within the next couple of days. So if you are, you know, people who need the book in Spanish, it's going to be available. So that's another fun thing that we've been moving toward. So yeah, just thinking of those things, right? The like wealthy people in general, they have the same 24 hours a day as you do. They don't have a magical 6 more hours a day, whatever, a week. But the thing is, it's how they use their time. It's how they've set up their streams of income, so that way they can buy back time. They understand that your biggest leverage point is your time and how you're utilizing it. So a lot of times we stay focused on temporary things. We're focused on our temporary financial circumstance, or we're focused on our temporary, you know, distractions and busyness. And all that's going to do is keep you thinking about the next 5 minutes. But we need to have forward vision, think of where we're going and how are we going to get there. So a lot of times people say, hey, you know what, I'm going to start this in 6 months. I'm going to start this in 3 months. And they continue to put it off. And what you're actually doing is you're losing out on time, right? It takes time to write a book. It takes time to edit a book. It takes time to publish and launch the book, to set up your business. So the longer you delay that process, the longer you're delaying every moment for you to actually get started. You're delaying your progression. You're delaying the opportunity to bring passive income into your house. And yes, some of it is active income, but the goal is to buy back your time, right? And so there's a time to start, but then there's also, one second, guys. There we go. So there's a time to start, and she's been very cranky. She's I don't know, she's going through. Yeah, I know. She's going through some growth changes, and her schedule's totally different now. So she just wants to come and be on here while we're streaming. Anyway, there's a time to start, but then there's also a time to finish. A lot of people who never start writing a book, right? A lot of people have an idea. Fewer people start the process, and even fewer finish. So what we want to do in Tell Your Story Coaching is not only help you start the process, but help you finish and finish well. Because it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. So get started. That's step one. Step two, finish well. So I hope this was a blessing to you. Again, you cannot afford, for so many reasons, to wait to write your story. Get started today. We can teach you how to do it within 90 days. You can write your story within 90 days. And then, of course, the editing, publishing process, those take a little bit more time. But for those who are ready to go, you want to set your goals, you set aside time for this, you will be surprised at what you have the ability to do and to create when you're setting the right foundations, when you have a coach that's experienced in this, that's coming alongside you and giving you their tool belt, which is me, right? I have those tools for you. I have it in my tool belt. It's something that I have the ability to give and to do, so you're not running in circles or extending the time it takes to get this thing done. So if you want to chat about that, I'd be happy to chat with you. You can go ahead and scan this QR code. We can set up a session and see what your specific situation is all about. All right.